Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of Grace Covenant Conversations. Grace Covenant Chats.
This is chats, yeah.
Chats. Grace Covenant Chats. We are open to suggestions. There is a form down in the description, I think. Will there be a form?
Probably not, but...
Okay, there will not be a form down in the description, but we are open to suggestions at some point in the future. I am your host, Caleb Watt, here with my wonderful co-host, Doug Tritton. Pastor Doug Tritton, mind you, the head pastor of our church here at GCC. Hello, Pastor Doug.
Hello. Hi, Caleb. Thanks for leading us in this.
Yeah, no problem. Well, today's episode, I guess we just want to talk about what our goals are for this podcast, since it is a new venture for GCC into this whole realm of content creation and like midweek content especially. So I'll pass it off to Pastor Doug. Pastor Doug, what are your plans? What is your mission? What is your vision for a podcast like this?
So my thought process behind having this sort of like tool for the church was that when I'm writing a message for on a Sunday, I often have a lot of thoughts that I would want to share. And it's part of like the preacher's dilemma. Like how much can you share in one message? Because I mean, pastors love to talk. I'm really sorry. And I'll try not to talk too much here, but we know that we can't talk too much. But there's a lot of things that I wish I could say, but ultimately get cut from the message. And oftentimes though, especially when I'm reading the connection cards, after a Sunday service, I can see people have some follow-up questions and some thoughts about, like, what did you mean here? Or how could I actually do this thing you said there? And I always wish that I could be able to just explain, talk a little bit more, share a little bit more of my thoughts after hearing some people's sort of feedback and questions after a message. And so my thought was, for a while, has been, maybe we should have a midweek, a time where I can share some of the thoughts I may not have been able to share on Sunday, or address some of the questions I was hearing afterwards. Because ultimately, my hope is that the Sunday messages that we listen to would not just be like a one-off where we hear it and we kind of move on with our lives, but it'd be something we start to digest and chew on a little bit. And my hope is that this podcast could be a way for us to continue to chew throughout the week on the message we heard, so that we can really allow that the word to sink more deeply into our hearts, so that we can actually live it out. That's my hope. We want to live out what we're going through week by week. We don't just want to hear it and then move on with our lives. We want to practice what's being taught.
I like that. And that's part of the reason why we're here. A large part of the reason why we're here. I actually like that thought a lot, because I think recently I've been meditating. Wow, that is the word that I was about to use to describe what I was doing. Meditating on the thought from Psalm 1, right? Like, his delight is in the law of the Lord. On his law he meditates day and night. So this seems like this hopefully will be a way for our congregation as a whole, right? To not just like think about like the message on your own, but like also it's like a little bit more connected, because we're engaging with one another yet again, right? Even if it's a more virtual space, but it's like a little bit more personal too, because you as the audience, congregants of GCC, get to ask questions, right? And Pastor Doug here gets to respond. So,
and I love answering questions, just so you know. And just to say that, if any of you ever have any questions about a message or anything, I love questions. I never feel burdened by any question.
As I have discovered myself in the month that I've been here with P-Doug. But just as by ways of brief introduction, so that we don't make this podcast too long, I wanted to say who I was, and then, well, you all know who Pastor Doug is, but he will still say who he is and a little bit of background. But yes, if you haven't met me before, heard of me, whatever, I am Caleb, and I do content creation for a living right now, for now. I have a YouTube channel, and in the past, I have done podcasting with one other Christian fellowship before, or two other Christian fellowships. Wow, I almost forgot the pen epistle. But I've done podcasting before, so this is something that's near and dear to my heart in terms of, just like where I started with content creation and doing stuff with ministry, because I think I really do believe in the net and the web for like spreading the gospel and fostering a sense of community, especially since so many of us spend a lot of time, right, online consuming things, consuming media. And how great would that be if that media also could impact like how we meditate on the word and foster a greater sense of community and belonging at your church. So that's who I am. A little bit of background into me. Pastor Doug.
Thanks, Caleb. I'm Pastor Doug. I'm the soon to be like lead pastor at Grace Covenant Church, Philadelphia. And I'm really excited to be able to do something like this because, again, my hope is that we can really take God's word seriously and learn how to live it out. And I hope that this could be just a tool that aids in that. Because something I talked about recently was discipleship, and it takes a church to make a disciple. And my hope is that as a church, we can spur one another on to love and good works, that we can hear the word, we can talk about it together, we can chew on it together, we can learn to apply it together and live it out together. Because again, we want to be a church that seeks discipleship as a body. And I really hope that this is just one part of that.
Fantastic. Well, that will do it for our first episode, the pilot episode for Grace Covenant Chats. We'll stick with chats for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a production of Grace Covenant Church here in Philadelphia. If you don't know us, please check us out on our website, ucity.gracecovenant.net, and feel free to check out our Sunday services as well. Locations for those are always a little bit TBD at the moment, but they will show up on the website and on our Instagram. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. I know my stuff. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.